life healer, teacher with all kinds of tools and techniques to share, a facilitator for your healing. So I post all my links in the description box for podcasts and financial support and for contact information. I do thank everyone for the listens you've given me and for the money coming in so that because, it gives me those resources I need so that I can provide more of this kind of content for you. Let's see what else. Oh, yeah, this is YouTube. So like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if there's stuff that you want to know about. I'm happy to like go play and see what we can find out. So on the podcast platforms, I upload in general meditations on Monday and thoughts on metaphysical topics and techniques on Thursdays. I'm available for online sessions and phone consultations. You can contact me for current pricing and availability, and I'll also let you know which online events I'm at. Best way to contact me is through email, susiepgoins@gmail.com, but of course that's going to be down in the description box. So today, this was something that was supposed to happen Thursday, but I'm trying to figure my stuff out now. But right now, um, this is a topic that I wanted to talk about, and it's empaths. What is an empath, and what does it mean to be one? Things you can pay attention to. And this is part one. Next upload will be a meditation on tools you can use to help you function better as an empath. And then next Thursday, I'm going to cover other techniques for those things you need in your everyday life. So then, here we go. What's an empath? Well, basically, it's a being who can feel energy in such a way that they take it on as their own, whether it's emotions or the energy of a room, sometimes even physical pain. So put it another way, an empath can put themselves in your shoes and feel what you're going through. Oh, and the resource links for all of this information I'm getting, it's going to be down there in the comment box too, in the description box. So that came from Kirsty Percy. Okay. So, speaking of resources, most of the resources I found state that empathy is an innate. They are empathic. To give it a try. I think empathy can be learned as far as learning to actively listen, sit there and really pay attention to what somebody is saying, not trying to come up with your scathing remark as a reply so that you're completely ignoring them, but to actively listen, to understand where a person is coming from and to feel compassion. I think compassion comes from understanding. It's not trying to defend, it's not trying to talk away somebody's thing, but it's trying to understand truly what they are going through. And I think empathy can be derived from that. And true, I think learning empathy is going to be easier for some than for others. Intuition don't always go hand in hand. You can be both or you can be either. But to assume that if you are one, then you must be the other is no, that's not right. However, while my resources say empathy cannot be learned, developing your intuition is definitely a thing. There are scads of books about developing your intuition. So that could be another topic. And there are 7 types of empaths. Learningmind.com has 6 that they list, and then there's another I've learned about. But there's the emotional empath, and that's somebody, that's a very common type of empathy, of empathic ability. They can easily pick up on the emotions of others, and they can feel the effects of these emotions as if they were on their own. I mean, road rage, for example. Have you ever been driving along and just suddenly blown up and you're like, oh, where did that come from? That's empathy, anger. It happens. Or you can find somebody coming into a room and they're so ecstatic in that room that energy just fills that room and you feel it. That's an empath at work. You taking on their emotions. There's the physical and medical empath, and that's somebody who can pick up on the energy of another person's body. And they intuitively know what's wrong with somebody. So next is geomantic empathy. That can also be called place or environmental empathy. And those with that ability have a really fine attunement to the physical landscape. They can pick up on the emotions of a landscape of an area. And but I would also say this is where discernment comes in. Is it empathy or is it maybe a past life memory being triggered? You get to pay attention. It's part of what we do. Next is plant empath, and that's somebody who knows exactly what a plant needs. Let's see, many empaths have a strong connection with animals. And those with that gift will know what an animal needs and may be able to telepathically communicate with the animal. Animal communicators. Now I got to find out from my animal communicator friends if they are empathic with animals. I know one can communicate with their animal telepathically, but does that necessarily mean they're an empath? See, just because you have intuition doesn't mean you've got that empath ability. So it's a good question for me. Next is a claircognizant or an intuitive empath. A claircognizant is clear, cognizant as knowing. So empathy as an empath, an intuitive empath, you know things. You don't necessarily know where they come from. The information comes from, but you can pick it up simply information from other people simply by just being around them. You'll immediately know if somebody is lying, which I think is an interesting thing. I have a friend who is, she told me that. And of course, now I want to know, can somebody whose core belief may be based in a fallacy be tagged as being lying by an empath? See, I got to talk to that friend. Okay. And but in general, without taking it that much farther down, if somebody's just lying to you, you it, the claircognizant empath can feel the intention behind somebody's words. And those with that gift also resonate with other people's energy fields and can read the energy of others really easily. Of course, if I'm doing it, I ask for your consent. It's not like going out there and just, I'm going to check that guy's energy or that person's energy or whatever. Frequently, people send out their energy. And as an empath, you can pick that up because it's coming at you, not because you're traveling into their energy field. There's a difference. This one, somebody's just saying, here, read me. And other times, if you're trying to do, say, what I do and check somebody's energy, you do need to be given permission because otherwise it's invasive. You see the difference? If you don't, that's okay. Ask in the comment section. So I have found there's, I think, a seventh kind of empath. It's certainly the most spiritually attuned kind, and it's called the Heyoka. It's also known as a sacred clown in the Lakota culture. And what the Heyoka does, they do everything backwards. They behave in ways that make people go, what? And make them question everything. They have been that images I saw was there was one who rode his horse backwards. You can wear your clothes backwards or inside out, or you say the opposite thing. They are challenging prevailing social attitudes and conventions by being backwards. So if you find somebody who's doing everything wrong, maybe cut them some slack and say, oh yeah, you're making me look at my attitudes and the conventions I follow. To expand on that doesn't mean it's right to behave in a poor manner. But if it makes you examine your own attitudes and behaviors and beliefs, they've served that sacred purpose. So how do you know you're an empath? Well, as I stated before, not all empaths are intuitive and not all intuitives are empathic, but you can get strong intuitive hits or information. What other indicator traits or indicators of being an empath? Well, you're easily overwhelmed in crowded places. If it's too peoply, it's going to hit you unless you have things in place. You can choose to avoid those places. Like I don't go to the big warehouse stores because that consumerist and the people buying coming at me just overwhelms me, and I get really anxious before the like midway through the thing. And so my husband goes because I can't handle that kind of peoply place. Um, do you find you have a deeper understanding or knowing about a person through their experiences, and you care so much from your heart. Excuse me. Um, let's see. You have, oh wait, I kind of jumped through that one. You have empathy for another person's experience, even though you haven't had it. And so there is a deeper understanding of a person through that's where this comes in. You have a deeper understanding or knowing about a person through their experiences. And that's when you care so much. So I have a deeper understanding and compassion for people who are going through any of the aspects of a cancer experience. I've experienced it from a couple of different angles. Um, it's that sharing a common experience is one kind of empathy. Being an empath, I can also feel their emotions surrounding the whole thing. Yeah. So, do you need a rest? Another trait is, do you need a rest after a very peoply event or situation? The intention of the event can either drain you or uplift you. And as an empath, you can check the energy of the room and determine which is best for you, who to talk to, or what if you need to stay away from folks. That's your empathy kicking in. Do you thrive in nature? Or do you need to connect with Mother Earth? Sometimes you just need to be away from everyone and everything. Or do you have a garden? Do you feel that connection with Mother Earth? Mother Earth draws negativity and can help you transmute whatever you have going on into something more productive. So while I don't garden per se, I do love walking through garden centers and touching plants and feeling their oxygen and their calmness around. Sometimes people come out of nowhere and just tell you their life stories. That's happened to me at a lot of events where I got kind of cornered for 2 hours by somebody telling me her whole life story. People have an innate understanding that you will listen to them and that you will care for them. So, a skill I've learned, took me a while, but when somebody is downloading all of their information on me, I'm able to say, okay, I'm full. Thank you. Um, I wish you well. I got to go. That's a boundary. Some folks just need somebody to listen to them, and I can do that. But I also am getting better at saying, oh, wow, look at the time. We're using my phone. Oh, gee, I, I, I got to go. You get to be able to do that as an empath. It does open up the possibility that some people may try to take advantage of your kind heart, your good heart, and or they just choose not to pick up those clues, or they follow you. And that's where your sense of self would come into play as an empath. Sense to feelings or physical sensation. I mean, when I was going to movies, I had to wear earplugs because they were always just too loud to me. Even now, as we watch TV, my family has to go, what? Okay. And they'll watch me to see if something is too loud. Opening chords of some of these YouTube videos are just like, oh God. Okay. Which is why I don't have much music in these, because sometimes you just need a break. Let's see. I don't wear perfumes or colognes. I've got people who just really either put it on or I'm just really sensitive to it. I don't need to use dryer sheets because that smell is weird to me. And some food textures or clothing may not sit well with you. There is true a sensory spectrum in which some people experience. It was season 3 in Star Trek, the original series, and it was the episode called The Empath. And our heroes are on a planet and they encounter this woman, and our heroes would, somebody would get hurt and she would come in and she would touch them, and that those injuries would pass over to her and then she would heal them, and it got progressively more intense. And then it turns out it was all this experience. And then she died, but we're not going there. So that was the 60s. But that's similar to what can happen. Or if you are working with somebody, as I'm doing a scan with somebody, I can get a ping from them. But it is possible to feel somebody else's pain. Part of the thing is that the empath is to not take it on and heal it like that Jim, I think her name was in that Star Trek episode. Because number one, it hurts you if you're taking on somebody else's pain. And number two, you're denying somebody else that opportunity to learn a lesson from whatever feelings they're having. Um, and so learning to discern things. Is it yours? Is it somebody else's? Empaths want to fix everything because we can. But you can fix it, but I don't agree with that. Like I said, it's kind of like a toddler. You know, you're trying to teach a toddler to read and you get frustrated and you take the pen, you write it out. So whatever it is written out, but the kid didn't learn the lesson. There is so much emotion coming at them. And I think that's going to be part of next